Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lax Lounge. Before we get into this awesome episode, and trust me, you're going to want to listen until the end. It is an amazing conversation. Quick word of warning, we had some audio malfunctions for the first 23 minutes. There is a pretty noticeable echo, but after that, it gets very smooth and crisp. After that 23 minutes, you should be fine, but it is something you'll notice. Hope you enjoy. Let's kick to the intro.
Now the move attacks. Look, the middle don't score. The roommates. Bridge to Orlando.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Edvative Learning. If you are an education major or anyone considering a career in teaching, you won't want to miss this. Edvative Learning is an innovative educational consulting company that is revolutionizing the way aspiring teachers prepare for their careers. As a proud sponsor of the Lax Lounge podcast and Cabrini Lacrosse, Edvative is here to help you take your teaching aspirations to new heights. Edvative offers a comprehensive one-on-one coaching program tailored specifically for those interested in entering the teaching profession. With Edvative's coaching program, you'll receive personalized guidance and support to help you succeed in your career. They provide mock interviews, guided job searches, resume optimization, and much more. Their team of experienced educators and career coaches will equip you with the skills and knowledge needed to excel in the competitive world of teaching. One of the most incredible aspects of Edvative's coaching program is their guarantee. Yes, you heard it right. They guarantee at least one job offer within the first 3 months of coaching. That's an amazing opportunity you don't want to miss. For just $250 per month, Edvative guarantees that you will receive at least one job offer. Imagine the peace of mind knowing that your investment in coaching will lead to tangible results. It's an offer you can't afford to pass up. So whether you're a current education major, a recent graduate, or someone looking to make a career change into teaching, Edvative Learning is here to support you and guide you in every step of the way. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to secure your job as a teacher. Visit their website at www.edvative.com to learn more about their coaching program and how they can help you kickstart your teaching career. Once again, that is www.edvative.com.
We good? We're good.
We're here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You might notice we have a little bit of a different setup right now.
We're not.
Where are we?
We're in the Fitler Club down in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he actually threw me in the car and just drove me blindfolded. So I have no idea where I am. I'm a little lost right now. Right outside of his nest. But we do have a special guest joining us today. It's kind of a reason that we're all the way down here to Philly to make this episode. We're joined by two-time state champion, one-time national champion.
And the 27th overall pick
in the draft of the Premier Lacrosse League. Please welcome Kyle Long. Welcome on to the Lax Lounge. Thank you very much for joining us. We're pumped. This is going to be awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, guys? First, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Springfield, Pennsylvania, obviously Delaware County. Always know where you're from. Went to Springfield High School, graduated in 2018. Just finished up at the University of Maryland my 5th year. Had a blast doing that. And now I'm back at home and, going that post-college athlete life, working at a high school and coaching some high school sports. So that's kind of where I'm at and looking forward to getting on with you guys today.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that shirt that you're wearing.
Yeah, it's a special gift, definitely.
Beautiful.
Fits perfectly.
So we've been starting our episodes a little different than we have in the past. We've been doing a Fast 5 series of questions, so simple answers. Let's get started. Alrighty, what did you want to do growing up?
Coach. Obviously, past professional athlete, NBA. Kind of got limited at 5'8", so we went to kind of coaching and working in the sports world.
Love it. What's your hobby?
Watching sports. That's it.
Good hobby. What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Dark Knight.
Ooh, great pick. What's something you want to do for the this year?
Sure. I want to take I got 3 months. I definitely want to take a trip with my friends, golf trip.
Nice. All right, next question. Who's the best lacrosse player you ever played with?
Ever played with? I got two four times. I got one. I'll go with Jared Bernhardt. I think he was pretty dang good, but Logan gets some job done.
What was special about her? What kind of was there something about his style in practice and he just have like that level? Just
a steady intensity that I don't think people can match. He was just a special player, special athlete, physically gifted with things, but he just saw the development for 5 years that was, second to none. And he was just as humble as they come. When your best player is humble and working like that, it just trickles down to everyone. So kind of go with him in that regard. Just special guy, special player, special family. So just gotta go with him.
So you bring up what's now, what was it like by that?
He made my life a lot easier. He's 6'4", catches everything, puts it in the back of the net. So again, similar, just quiet, works hard, took care of his business, pro is pro. Just really awesome people to be with and awesome players to play with.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And he just like he plays like you say quiet dude. He plays like a quiet dude. Like I always looked at him. I'm a big like visual guy. He got a passing eye test for me, and I never saw him passing the eye test. And then he'd go up and drop like 7 points, and I'm like, nah, he didn't actually. He maybe had like 2, but I also looked at comment about the 5 kind of losers we had our lift test this week. And we're all doing our height. Me and our teammate Nate, he was saying that he's like a strong 5'10". He's not. I'm way taller than him. And I always say, like, my doctor says I'm 5'9", 3 years. Why not just practice 10 to 10? You say you're 5'5", because you say you're 6 foot, call it out. Yeah, okay. So we're measuring your age, and he's like, let's go, I'm 5'10" and a half. I'm going, like, watch this, 5'10" and 3/4. That guy got that little coordination. I'm like, just so you know, like, I am out. Like getting $6,000. 5'8" anything else with Bernard? His sports on here. What was that team in general? That was just a weird season. I'll probably touch on this a little bit later too. But was he your captain? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
So what was his leadership style there, coming out of the weird COVID period where it got shut down back, all these regulations? Like, how did he kind of navigate with that?
Yeah, he took the fall off. He came back kind of January. We got ready to go. He just was himself, and he just didn't try to be anyone else. We did great community with older guys that kind of took care of business, and the standard was there and what we needed to do. Here's the rules, and how we're going to do everything. And he just lived up to it every day. Lead by example type of guy, and everyone kind of follows suit. When that guy's doing that. But that was a wild year. We went probably January 8th or 9th till Memorial Day, not seeing our families, not seeing anyone outside the community, the staff. So looking back, I definitely wouldn't do it again. But it was a cool experience to be with the guys. Practice was like the best part of the day. You're in your room, you get practice to see each other and hang out. So those guys did a great job and really set a good standard and did what we needed to do to almost get what we wanted to do. So it was a special year, and it started with Jared, having a special season.
So it was obviously on the field, it was a little bit off the field. Was he a curl? Was he did he walk up a lot all the time? Was he like his captain?
He was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I would definitely say he wasn't the biggest rah-rah guy. But I feel like when he did speak, people listened, and I think that's always, we had a guy, Roman Maglici, who was loud, energetic, brought it every day. So it was a different balance with Jared, and I think that was the beauty of that team. And, when those years I was there, we had such great personalities that all just fed off each other and built a really good, leadership group from the top.
I love that you said Roman Maglici, the teammate, coming to be the rah-rah guy. When I think about it, like on almost every team that I've been on, it's the defenders that are the juice guys, because they're all psychopaths. Like, they're all crazy. I mean, long poles, like they're all out there just trying to chop down trees with your arm. And the offensive guys are kind of just laid back. Like you said, lead by example, and then when you speak, listen. Like, I think that's the dynamic on our squad the last couple of years. Like, our offensive captain hasn't been the guy who's going to give you the best hype up speech, but when he does give a speech, like, it's meaningful. Shout out PJ Hewitt. He's our juice teammate guy. He's a crackhead. I love it.
For sure. So let's talk your lacrosse career. All right. When did you first pick up that?
I probably picked up a student around 3rd or 4th grade. Springfield had a great tradition of lacrosse, from Kyle Sweeney to Drew Adams, to Greg Campbell and Brian Christopher. So there was always guys you looked up to, and it was a big part of, growing up in Springfield was playing lacrosse. So, I kind of played from 3rd, 4th grade, and then about 7th or 8th grade started getting really serious and, joined the club circuit and, was a part of some really special teams at Springfield. And whether you're there with, obviously, that's probably the shoe to start there is, your goalie, attack, and midi that do it all for you. And, that was kind of, Springfield lacrosse is kind of everything. I'm coaching this spring, really looking forward to it. It would be tough to coach anywhere else in high school lacrosse.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you remember your school? First year goal?
I don't.
Really?
I do not.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
I vividly remember, well, my first game was just a movie, so honestly, I'm from Washington, and the big stereotype is it rains every single day, which it doesn't, but this story is sideways raining, so it's very freezing cold, 45 degrees or something. We're at Stanford Middle School, this dirt field in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere, and it's this torn down area, mud everywhere. It's my first game ever. Pull up, dad drives, and he's excited. My dad's been playing lacrosse he's from Canada, kind of grew up with it. He's been like, let's go, it's finally big. I said, let's go. Pull up, get our jersey, grab 22. So I was like, yeah, I like double numbers. He's like, you realize, what Gary Gate is? I'm like, absolutely not. He's like, okay, well, big shoes to fill. Regardless, we're out there and I'm hating life. I'm like, this sport sucks. This is awful. I'm cold. I'm wet, miserable. The ball is just sticking around every time it drops. My dad was telling me I probably should have like 10 goals just with all the shots because I was trying to bounce shots, but it doesn't bounce. It just sits right there. So I'm right outside the crease. I think somebody shot. Ball's on the ground. I scoop it up, look at it in my stick, look at the goal, fling, because I'm like second grade. Fling, it goes in, and everyone starts going nuts. I'm like, did I just do that? That was cool. I got the rush. After the game, we went to a McDonald's drive-thru or something. So I was like, I want a hot chocolate. I'm quitting. I don't like this. And we drove away, and I was like, hey, Dad, I think we'll go practice tomorrow.
It's always a good thing.
What was your first goal?
I was playing Wrigley my third grade year. I was defenseman before I started playing offense. I won a good defense my third grade year. I did not have a long pole yet. Remember, I picked up the ball, ground ball, put it in my left hand, ran the entire length of the field, and just dumped it into the net.
It's everyone say stay with school because it's like shitty fields on all. That's my favorite field. It's my lucky field. I've never had that game there. I scored my first career goal there, and then youth ball and high school. I scored not high school, but youth ball. I scored my last career goal there, and then high school before I transferred, I scored my last goal there. So that's
Every time I played in a Wrigley, I scored a goal.
there's probably gonna be a statue of you outside of Ridley, and then me outside of Stanford Middle School. Because we don't know.
Every Mother's Day, I've also scored a hat trick from like 3rd to 8th grade. Didn't play Mother's Day anymore.
Shout out to our mom. My mom's an active listener. She's a lifelong enthusiast.
So back to your two jobs with my lacrosse. You started playing 3rd, 4th grade. Did you love it immediately, or was it just following the tradition that you said of Springfield, growing up there, playing lacrosse?
I really liked it. I played baseball too. I ran track. We had a great group of kids, my age that played baseball. So I kind of went through Little League with them. And then kind of on the other side of that was I really, really loved playing this game. That was probably 7th, taking that in the 8th grade. And from there, really haven't looked back. Spring's been once basketball, once the ball's on the rack for this season, it was lacrosse till, football camp. That's kind of how it was.
Yeah. So, getting into middle school, 6th, 7th grade, where was your head at, in terms of sports, looking forward to high school? Did you always want to get to Springfield? Were you going to go to a private Catholic?
I was always Springfield.
Okay.
I never thought twice. My dad had coached high school basketball there for, probably 7 years at the time. So, I'd been to those games. I was a gym rat up there, high school basketball games and football games. So I always know I wanted to go to Springfield. It didn't really matter what, game calling or what other options were. That was, where I wanted to go. And I'm happy. It was awesome.
Was there a middle school year back in the day when you could get talked to by college coaches way before you even got into high school? Did you have to deal with that in 8th grade? Did you have to make the decision in your mind, I'm going to open myself to playing lacrosse in college all the way 4 years before that even starts?
I was just at the beginning of the middle school era. Obviously, it was starting early. I remember Matt Moore was a grade above me, and he had committed, and I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So he kind of opened the door to understanding that part of lacrosse. When I was a freshman is when that freshman fall was like, that was the time where it was, there's 10, 15 coaches on the side of every single club lacrosse game that fall. And then, it really didn't hit for me until after the spring, and that summer was kind of summer going into my sophomore year was when I committed, and that was the awakening of, all right, this is college. Like, this happens fast.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you played a club for Dukes?
Dukes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I ran into him a couple times this summer when I was coaching, and we actually coached against each other. All coaches chasing him. It was a good time.
So moving to high school, you started your freshman year there. You like an immediate guy who would fill your role, like stepped up right away, or you kind of wait time?
I filled the role pretty quickly. I kind of said it more like two-way for the team. Like I said, we had a really good group. Obviously James Spence and Cage, Lucas Spence on attack. So I kind of fit more of a two-way, and as the season went on, kind of got more footing on offensive end. So that's kind of where I was able to kind of fill need type of thing for the team. So that was awesome for me, and it worked out for the team.
Were you able to have any big moments? Not even like you make the play, but you're in a massive game. So the example, my first big varsity games at the prize was going to go to. It was at this giant stadium. It was one of the top 4A teams in the state. Stands were, it was still kind of COVID, so like stands were packed, but the energy was just through the roof, and we got absolutely shitstormed. Like, they punched us in the face. It was bad, and I was kind of like, whoa, this was like playing a big ass team. Did you ever have that much with your freshman year?
I know the district championship, obviously I played all year, I had a good year, but that was kind of the point where I was like, this is like big time, like this is cool. There's a lot of people at this game. There's, Conestoga was rolling out, 8, 10 Division I players. Not our guys on our side. And I remember just, probably a couple minutes left, 4 or 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, catching an outlet, clearing it, and just kind of being like, wow, like I just did that in this type of moment with the kids I grew up with in the district championship. Like, that was when it was like, all right, this is kind of cool. This is a special moment, and where else would you rather be? This is like awesome.
Yeah, I know that feeling. So you talked about playing with the Spences in high school. Did you grow up playing with them, or was it just the opportunity in high school that you got?
I don't know if there was ever a team I didn't play on with the Spence on. Whether it was James or Jack. Then obviously Lucas was with the first year I played with him was my freshman year when he was a senior. So I always joke like I don't know. I wouldn't know Springfield lacrosse without a Spence on my roster.
That's so funny. So Lucas Spence being a senior, your freshman year. Obviously, he went to Lehigh, had a great career there. How was he as a leader?
He was awesome.
Yeah.
He would just do things, and people are probably just shaking their heads, and you're like, that's just Lucas. He ran through 3 guys and found a way to put the ball in the cage. He was just, like I said, more of a quiet guy, but when he spoke, people listened, and he was kind of the guy that we followed all the way till the state semifinals of the district championship that year.
Yeah, I remember when I was recruited to he was the guy he was on the gratis.
Yeah, he did that.
He was on my head the entire time, texting me, calling me, all that. Great guy. I remember that was the year after he was a senior at Lehigh, and he tore his ACL, I believe, that fall. It was before the season, I know that, and he was playing in the first game. And I remember watching that and being like, you're off your rocker. If you just tore your ACL within 6 months and you're back starting. And then I think he had like 3 goals. And it was like, dude, you're insane. Yeah.
Is there something in the air at Springfield where you just have to be great? Like when you're out on that field, when you're out to school, like you just have to have a level of greatness.
I think that's how everyone's wired. I think there's something special about Springfield is in the amount of people that went to Springfield, go back and teach at Springfield or live in Springfield. Like, the return rate's really high, and I think that's why people take so much pride in doing things a certain way. And it's kind of, if you don't do that, you're higher. So I think, no one loves Springfield like Springfield people love Springfield. You can look at it like that, and it's just how, kind of the cornerstones of the town and how the people that are in there.
So I think with like the grit and the lacrosse aspect, I think like one person you can really thank for is Tom Lemieux. went to the career and graduated, played for our coach, our old coach, rather. So what was that like having him as your coach on your sideline?
He's the best. He's the best coach in the state. I can say that pretty clearly. And obviously at the time there's some ups and downs with your coaches. He was hard on me. He was hard on us. But I mean, that guy he's all in. He loves each player. He loves the team. He's assimilated so well with the town. Lives there now. Works for the school, the athletic director. Like, he's just, I just don't think he's second to none when it comes to investment in a program in a town. And he was just a special guy to play for.
What do you think about his decision, like philosophy, really stood out in your progression as a player?
I think it's just discipline and how we do things. If you walked up to practice in black socks, you might as well just walk back.
What's the reason on that?
He's just likes guys wearing white socks. White socks, black shorts, black or blue shorts, white or blue shirt. It was kind of like that. And it just weaned out some people that didn't want to buy into doing things the right way. And, it's kind of like if you can't wear the right socks, how are you going to, do the right thing for the guys?
So I've had two coaches, like two different kind of coaches growing up my entire life. You have the coach that gives a pregame speech in the locker room, the coach that talks to people like you're right? What was he like? Was he the locker room guy? Was he the guy on the field just giving motivational quotes and all that?
He was more the locker room guy. He gets really worked up before the games. Like he's about to play and gets into it. So obviously before the game, I don't think he says much on the field. And then he just would get the guys going before the game. Ryan Adolph is a defensive coordinator, does a great job as a Maryland guy. He's the same energy type guy. And, those two were just great getting guys going in the locker room before the game, before you head out.
My high school head coach, Drew Schneider, a long legend. He is the third version. So we have like the locker room guy, the guy who's under down to the players, and then there's one who warm up the goalies. And that's how he takes off a little bit of the edge that you have those pregame jitters. He'd just be ripping on, shout out Drew Chapman, absolutely beauty. He'd just be ripping on him pregame. We're doing our passing around, and he turned to one of our accounts, yellow for Joe Jonas. Top of them. It's always fun watching a really good shooter, especially as a high schooler, watching a pro lacrosse player just kind of go off. It's pretty magical. It's awesome.
It's funny to play York now. Ryan Schreiner just we're up the goal, and he's not going 100%, but he's definitely 75.
We were watching the Gettysburg sophomore game last year. We all went down. You just look over on the sideline, and it's Mac Valley. I watched his highlight tape in high school. I watch him on the weekends with I'm a huge Archers fan. I love the Archers now. So.
Yeah. So I know we already touched on it a little bit with the whole recruiting process, but as a first where was your head? Was it always Maryland career, or was it I have 15 coaches texting me? I might as well take 15 tours, see what program I might find myself in. Yeah.
Maryland really wasn't on my radar, honestly. I always looked at lacrosse as kind of the way to get into a school I could never go to. So you always kind of have your Dukes, your Notre Dames, your Virginias, your Carolinas. Just kind of those schools that are elite in some way, maybe academically, or they're private. So I kind of looked at it like that. And then when I kind of got into the recruiting, Maryland was obviously really interested. Coach Cassis at Lehigh was awesome. I took a visit at Penn State, at Villanova. And I really felt like at Maryland, it checked a lot of boxes. It was a big school. It had sports to look back on and go visit, football and basketball. But I also just felt like when I walked in the building, it was the guys there were guys from Springfield. That's how I felt, just a blue collar type mentality, not a lax bro type idea. And I feel like they were my friends from home, and I felt comfortable there. And, I just was a spot. So no, I didn't think that was my dream school, so to speak, but, I visited there twice just to make sure and double check, and there was a no-brainer, and that's where I wanted to spend my 4 years, or ended up being 5.
Yeah. So you would say making the decision on that was pretty easy after that second tour?
Yes. Yeah. I think it was just dotting the T's and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. There you go.
Or you can dot your T's. I'm getting a little frisky. I always tell all the kids when they ask me recruiting, what's the process like, and finding a school. It's you'll know. When I came to campus, I drove into Cabrini. I remember it vividly. I walked into our athletic center, and I was like, I think this is the place. There's just something in the air. I can't explain it, but you just know. And then leaving that night, where she came down here to downtown to go watch a Phillies game,
And I was sitting on the train with my parents, and I'm like, I had 5 more tours because I was going to Ohio the next day, doing a bunch of other D3 schools. I looked at them, I'm like, I think I'm going to commit here. Like, I might just text in right now. My mom's like, no, we have to go look at these other schools. We got to do it. On the flight home, I told them, I was like, I'm committed. Like, this is, there's no other option. Like, I don't know what to say. So that's one thing that every kid is so worried about. Like, oh my gosh, I got to look at all these schools. I got to go to the big names. It's like, you could go to the smallest school ever. You can go to shitty little Cabrini like us, and you'll fall in love with that place, and like, you'll know right away. Do you remember your first text was, like, from a college coach?
It was down a time where, like, we had to call them technically.
Okay.
So, like, you'd say, hey, can you have Kyle call me at this time? I remember talked to Coach Phipps at Navy in the spring when he was an assistant there. I think he's back now before he went to Georgetown. And that was cool. It was kind of towards the end of our playoffs. I know I talked to him. I think he was maybe the first. Obviously, he knew Ryan Adolph pretty well, so that was an easy connect. And it was cool. It is humbling to kind of be in that spot and, have someone be interested in you and, you're interested in them.
That is one thing I do miss about the recruiting process, was like waking up to new texts from people where it's like, oh my gosh, like, this school just reached out to me. Honestly, when the whole Cabrini stuff went down, a lot of the coaches that had recruited me like sent the little, oh, hey, thinking about you, heard about this. And it was kind of getting me back into that process. So it's like, whoa, like, I got real estate in their heads. Like, they're thinking about me 24/7. They say Cabrini, and then like, yo, Jason Fridge is there. So that stuff always just fired me up. Because like you said, it's somebody who believes in you and is like, I want you. And I'm going to give you my best sales pitch so that you can come be a part of my family. So that always fires me up.
Yeah. So you graduated high school. Obviously, you're committed to Maryland. And you graduate with, I think it was over 300 points is what I read. Insane. Getting to Maryland, you're a freshman. What was that like, stepping on campus first time? Parents drop you off. You're by yourself.
It's challenging. I don't think no matter what school you go to, what program, you're out of your cocoon, right? I was at Springfield for, 16, 17 years of my life, and all of a sudden I'm dropped in a new place with, 30, 40,000 people, and you got to figure it out. When I was supposed to be with a lot of great guys, I think the team's as welcoming as it can be. It's not cliquey. It's, you're a Maryland lacrosse player, and so you obviously go through your normal ups and downs, you got a couple of freshman things to do. You got to clean the field. You got to bring the balls out, stuff like that. But for the most part, it was a really welcoming group through a tough transition. All of a sudden in school, you have a social life. You have a lacrosse part. You're trying to, catch up to guys that have been there for a couple of years. So it's definitely a transition period. But, once you get through that, it's really rewarding. And, you just meet special people and special families.
Yeah, that season for Maryland itself was, I don't really know how to describe it. Obviously an amazing regular season, but then you guys get to playoffs, and one thing leads to another. You guys play Virginia, and maybe one of the craziest.
So, okay, give me your perspective on that game. So 2019, it's the quarterfinal against Virginia?
Yes, we had snuck in the playoffs that year. We didn't really know what was going to happen. Like I said, we had a really good regular season. All of a sudden, we dropped 2 in a row to Hopkins, and we're sitting there Selection Sunday, just like I remember being in the dorm with all the freshmen and my guys and being like, I guess you just watch, you're helpless, And so we slip in, we go to Towson, we upset them as the 11 seed. And then, we headed up to Hofstra for the quarterfinals against Virginia. It's honestly like a blur. It all happens so fast during the game. In the moment, you're kind of just like, jumping ahead of the pipe goal and all that, but you're just like, oh, what can we do next? There's nothing you can do about it. And I think that really changed that group of guys, whether it was my grade with Brett Makar and John Geppert, and then the grade above me with, Roman Puglisi, Alex Smith, Jake Higgins, like that whole group. I think that really changed us, and obviously Jared and Anthony DeMaio and the grade above them and Groot. And so I think that really changed how we do things and how we look at things and propelled us into having that 2-year run we did. That going forward.
That moment always fascinates me where
the goal gets counted, whatever. And then the camera cuts to Tillman on the sideline. And I remember watching this with my dad, and I'm like, how is he not losing his mind? Every other coach, I think, in the country would be going, our coach would be going ballistic. Shoot, I'd be going ballistic. Was he just that guy who, like, he knew the moment was big and he needed to kind of, like, calm everyone else down? Like, was that just Tillman's vibe the entire time? Or is he more just kind of so tactical and so worried about the X's and O's, he doesn't let anything faze him like that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Like I really said, it was kind of like a blur for everyone. It's like, they're going on this 5-6 goal run to kind of end our season, and that's just a part of it. I think you're kind of like, well, they just scored 3. All of a sudden, that's that one. Like, what do we do now? I think there's obviously people have been like, oh, why didn't he like run on the field? And I'm like, I don't know. I put like that. If he ran on the field, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of weird that he ran on the field, and like he's during the middle of an NCAA quarterfinal game. Like I said, I think it's just trying to figure out the next thing to do to try to, I always look at the games as like it's a 2-hour, battle, and you're just trying to get out of there with a W, no matter if it's in hour 59 or 1 minute in. So I think that was kind of just how do we get out of here with a win, no matter what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about that entire game, the goal that shouldn't have counted but did, Matt Moore, and then the goal that ended up winning Virginia that game, also Matt Moore, their Delaware County legend that you brought up before.
What is I want to stay on Tillman for a second. What's he like as a coach? Because I've heard that he's kind of an interesting guy, but what was your perspective on him? Like something that we don't see when we're watching a game on Saturday. Like, what's he like on the field at practice or in the locker room, like kind of just around the facilities?
He's just like always locked in. Whether he's on his phone talking to someone about a recruit or, game plan that week, he's just loves the game and he loves the team. And I don't think you'll find another coach that puts in more time trying to help his team win on a Saturday afternoon. But he has his couple of jokes he makes he loves and then gets laughs out of people. But he's definitely, loves the New York Giants. He'll make Giants jokes all day long. We're the big guys, they all love football. So that's kind of how, we talk, and, football is something we can relate with the coaches with. And, he's, like I said, he's just all in and puts in, hours and hours and hours. I think his Saturday nights are watching film. I think I appreciate that, and all the guys appreciated what he put in, every week and for the team.
Was there ever like a massive, memorable freak out that he had? Every coach has done it. Like I heard, like Drew's one in high school. This one kid, Axel, he was a senior, showed up to practice late, and I forget what he was doing. I think, he made a joke to one of our other teammates whose name was Conrad, and we had called him. I went to an all-boys school. We had called him Cumrag, and so like we were going through warm up, and I think it was one of those days where Drew was just having a bad day, and he was waiting for one thing to light him up. And so Axel showed up late, and then first word he says is like, "Yo, Cumrag," and Drew blows the whistle. Everyone get on the line and starts screaming. I've never seen him more mad in my life. Starts screaming, makes us do. I think it was like 30. We call them 30 D snides, which is like. One down across the field was just one instead of down and back being one. So there's 15 of those. But he was like, "We're going to run until I'm tired of watching you guys run." He's just bitching us out the entire time. Like that was I've never seen him like that. And still to this day, like kind of look at him a little bit different. I'm like, well, I didn't really know you had that in you. Did Tillman ever have one of those moments?
Not that I can remember. I think when Coach wanted to address something, it was, we would sit down and he would talk about it, and try to turn it into like a life lesson or, something like that. And we really were almost never punished with like running.
Really?
That's kind of not how we did things. Like I said, it would be a meeting or, and we'd be in the film room for hours if we needed to kind of get the point across or get where we needed to go. But for the most part, we had a lot of guys that really cared, and we didn't have a ton of issues in my last couple of years with that, the usual, like, get back on defense, to pick up a ground ball, stuff like that. But like you said, if there was some that happened, it was a lot of, just team meetings and going over stuff. And like I said, we would just go over the clear for like 30 minutes a day. And, that was just like part of the daily dose.
Yeah, what was your practice, kind of like a typical Monday practice looking like? Because I was finding it fast. Our practices are 2.5 hours, or last year they were, and it is boom, boom, boom,
High
boom.
intensity the entire time.
No grass. We had Jake Fopp was our, not grad assistant, he was our face-off coach last year from Syracuse. Obviously, our first fall ball practice, we're like off on the sideline. I think we're doing a NASCAR, so full field, just roll the ball, go for like 10 minutes. And I'm sitting on the sideline. He looks over at me. He's like, "This is insane." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "At Cuse, we do like maybe 5 minutes at a time where it's like full intensity, and then it's 30 minutes of just chilling out, and it'd be maybe an hour, 15, hour and a half." What was a Maryland practice like?
So our game week, we almost always just played on Saturdays. It's almost like a football schedule. So, Monday we film, get through the last week's game, go out, walk through some things, fix up, clean up some things, and then Tuesday, Wednesday were our hard days. We would just have film every day and kind of do that. But practice on like the hard days would be, you go in, obviously you warm up, some sort of ground ball drill. Like we had to drill this Death Valley, and it would just like 6 lines over a stick, 3-on-3, and then just roll the ball out. You were in like from the midline to the restraining line and the alley lines, and it was just you have to make 2 passes, and it was just like utter destruction of each other. Yeah, just absolute chaos. And then from there, we would do probably just go into positional. We'd do scout, starter for scout, split ends, maybe some first team on first team, and then we'd kind of do some transition and then power play. We were pretty cookie cutter almost every day. I could tell you kind of the idea of what we were trying to do with a couple tweaks based on who we were playing. But yeah, it was intense when it was supposed to be intense, it better be intense. When it was time to be focused and go over stuff, you better be ready to go over stuff.
Now, are you guys ever doing inter-squad scrimmages or?
Yeah, so in the fall, that was, the red, white scrimmages were awesome. Whether it was, sometimes we just grab like 4 freshmen and 2 of them would be captains for each team and they'd pick. Just put them on the spot. There was times where we did, the 5th years would pick. And that was probably, probably 3 in the fall with, your scrimmage with another team. And then we would probably have 2 in the winter. Red, whites are a blast. It was always, for a while, it was whoever picked Jared first would just usually win. So, but once he finally, got out of there, it was some really good battles.
For your scout team, did you ever have or every single year, like we are proud members of the Cabrini Scout Snipers, so we'd go out and just light up our defense. And there'd be some days, last year when we were preparing for Dickinson, we were doing the walk through their man up, and I was at the lefty attack spot, and they were saying that the guy likes to hit this skip ball. Nick happened to be the skip ball all the way in the top right. And I kept throwing it because it was open, and I just get through everybody's stick. And it got to the point where our coach paused the entire thing. He's like, "Okay, Fridge, do that again." I think it was Corbin in the middle. Who's in the middle?
It was Corbin or Gers.
It had to be Gers because he was man down.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Gers, knock the ball down. Don't let him get the ball through." Okay, come through. He knows I'm throwing the pass. Just right past him. Gers out, count him. Okay, knock the ball down. Same thing. We connected 7 times in a row. It got to the point they plugged in every single defender into that spot. The last one was Corbin, because I remember he turned to our coach and he was like, "No, it's just Fridge. Like, he's going to make that pass." And Deluxe turns to him and he's like, "No offense, Fridge. Their attackman is way better than him. If he can do it, that guy's going to do it, and they're probably going to score a lot more." But, like, those iconic scout memories are, like, that's what I love.
Oh, yeah.
We were bought into the scout squad. Did you have those, like, that one guy who just popped off during the scout period?
Yeah. The scout guys take it serious, and we always had maybe 1 or 2 freshmen redshirting that really buy into it. Eric Spanos last year, and Zach Whittier, who then both had good roles in the team this past spring and did a lot of good stuff for us. I mean, they were just bitches to play against in practice. Like it would just be, all Americans just couldn't stop them sometimes. And it's just like, coach would be like, "Oh, is everything all right?" And Brad would just be like, "They're good players too. Like, I'm trying my best." And it kind of would go. Tuesday would be like that. Wednesday, and all of a sudden Thursday it's clicking. Friday it's clicking. And you get ready for Saturday. But we take a lot of pride in the scout team, and those guys brought it every day. And I do think a lot of our success is from guys that brought it, and especially on the defensive end, like they were able to get a look on a team all week, and Saturday was check the boxes, done, seeing that. but they're the best. And if you play a team, they score, the fight song comes on, and it's a great part of practice, and it keeps them involved. It's tough not playing on Saturdays sometimes, but you get a feeling of I helped this happen when you're bringing it like that every day.
Yeah, definitely. You bring up Spence. He's another guy, Maryland guy from Malvern Prep that we would love to have on the show.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah.
I do like how you say the scout team, like just how bought in they are. We were called the Futures. That was kind of like a running thing. And then at the end of the year, we're like the Futures now when we'd get into the games, like our conference schedule. But yeah, you just got to buy in, and those studs out there, because everyone is. My favorite part about being on scout team was like when we'd play Salisbury, when it'd be Tufts, and I get to be Cross Ferreira. Like I get to be Mason Kahn at Tufts, Jack Boyd, and you literally just fill it into their roles, and you can kind of just fuck around. You can do crazy stuff. Like our head coach was usually on the other side, so it was our grad assistant D coordinator who were like younger guys, more chill and like relaxed. So you could have some of those like, hey, I'm gonna throw it behind the back pass here because it's scout. Like it's not gonna matter. It's a decent look. Cross might do it. Somebody else might do it. So we always obviously we're very passionate about our scout team.
Dude, I think it was the end of the year. I think we were playing York, so I think it was probably the most important scout of the year. And it was a pass that they were making. A guy was running a wheel up, coming up, and he had to make a skip pass down to the low pinch on the left-hand side. And I'm pretty sure it was like Morrisoff playing it. We did it like 4 times in a row with like no error, and they were like, all right, like this is fucked. It was the same exact situation as before with you, but it wasn't. It was the exact opposite, actually.
I think the other thing that's fun is when you do get to a game and you notice that they're like doing something and you're like, oh, we literally did this, and then your defense stops it and you turn to all the guys and you're like, hey, that's us. Like that's our dub right there. It was all us. Kind of love a good scout squad.
Yeah. So I guess we'll move into your national championship year a little bit. What was that like? I'm pretty sure your true senior year, academic year. So what's that, 22, if I'm correct? 2022. It's 3:29 p.m. But let's start from the fall. Was there a feeling heading into the locker room in August, I guess, that was, hey, look, we're in really good shape right now. Let's keep this moving forward.
Or even like take it back to 2021, because you guys go undefeated in the regular season, get to the Natty game, technically upset by Virginia. Like, was it in that locker room we were like, we're gonna run this back?
I think at that time it was bittersweet. Obviously, we wanted to win, and it was devastating. But at the same time, it was the first time we kind of got out of our bubble. So maybe at the moment it's like, hey, we get out of it. It was devastating. It was tough to see guys like Jared and Nick Grill, go on without getting Jared another ring or Nick a ring. But that was an awesome year. I think sometimes it's like, oh, if you don't win a national championship, it's a terrible year. And yeah, the goal is to win that at the University of Maryland. But, it was a special year with special guys. And, we just came up a little short, and there's nothing, I think everyone gave all they had. And, if I could run it back with those guys on a, Memorial Day Monday at noon, I would definitely do it again against Virginia. It was a great group of guys. And, Luke Weirman, if he had another shot, I'd give it the ball right back in his stick. And you could see what that did to that group the next year. Obviously losing Jared, that was an elephant in the room of, how do we replace Jared? But we did bring back a great nucleus. We brought in guys like John Donville and Keegan Khan, and Probowski, just special guys to bring in. You never know how guys are going to adjust in a new scene, coming from being, the best players on their team to coming into kind of, a team with a lot of really good players. And they came in and were some of our best players that year and helped get us to where we wanted to go. But I honestly didn't know how good we were, until, we were in the kind of, end of February, early March. Like I said, when you lose a guy like Jared, it's hard to think you're going to be that good. But the improvement guys made and what the intensity people brought, and, Coach always said it. He's like, I was always waiting for the day when we didn't bring it on a Wednesday when it was cold and rainy, and that day never came with the leadership we had.
Wow. So Donville, he came in from Cornell
Correct.
for his grad year. What was he like to play with? Because he's a guy that I like watching because of how his vision, one, is like through the roof, and he's an off-ball wizard. Like he's always doing something. It's his box background. How is that as your style of play? Like you have great vision as well. We talked about the assist record and like your big year in high school, but what was it like kind of playing off of him and taking the talents that he had from Cornell and adding that into your team as like that little puzzle piece they need?
It was awesome. You know, John was a captain at Cornell. He was just made of the right stuff. And he was special to play with. It was kind of the first time I played out of the box with someone like that, you know, and he was just high IQ, easy to play with. You know, we always joked, like, should John really be this good at lacrosse? You know, he's not slow, but he's not fast, but he just knew what to do. He was so self-aware. He was able to use his skill to create leverage and get his hands free. And, you know, when he slipped picks, he knew what he was doing with the ball before he even threw it to somebody else. And he was, like I said, awesome to have. You know, we had so many older guys. You know, we didn't really have, like, hey, we have this guy's the captain, this guy. We just had leaders. And John was one of them. And, you know, I don't think we get to where we got without him. I know Memorial Day was tough for him playing Cornell. It was a really tough experience. But, you know, he was able to battle through it and, you know, pull one to the back of the neck that game and, you know, help us cut the nets.
Does that benefit you guys at all, having him on the team after spending his entire, 4 years?
I know it benefited us going into Hopkins because Milliman, who was his coach at Cornell, was then at Hopkins. So, you know, I know he sat down with Coach Bernhard and kind of went over, you know, just basics of offense and, you know, what Coach Milliman's kind of preferences are. And, you know, you pick up on things you wouldn't pick up, you know, in the rectangle of your laptop watching film. So that benefited us in that regard. Obviously, they hadn't played in so long. John hadn't played a game in, you know, almost over 2 years, I think, by the time we played High Point that year. So, you know, those guys at Cornell he didn't really play with as much. Obviously, he spent years with them, you know, at school and practicing, but it really benefited us in that Hopkins game.
Championship weekend, it was up in Fairfield. You win that semifinal game on, that would be Saturday, Sunday off, and then the Monday game. What is that right after final horn, whatever, game ends in the semifinal? What's that time before the natty looking like for the team?
So we got delayed on that Saturday.
That's right, it was the weather delay, right?
Rutgers, I'm blanking on the Cornell, obviously. The Rutgers-Cornell they got cut midway. So we went back to the hotel and we kind of waited it out. We play, you know, we only have so much time to recover, you know, based on your hours. So we get back, we eat, you sleep, you wake up. That day is one of my favorite days of the year. Obviously, you're playing as long as you can play, which is awesome. But
Like the last practice.
it was funny because we were back in Hartford, so we had kind of a similar schedule. We do IVs, massages throughout the day. That's kind of like the big recovery part. You know, Anthony Benyarko, our trainer, was awesome. And it's just film, eat, practice. So we had our walkthrough. All right, get back, eat, film. You know, what else? That's kind of the entire day is just putting as much in as possible without going on overload. And then Monday morning is, you know, wake up, breakfast, film, bus over, and then it's showtime.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously, that's a dream. We got 27 guys on our roster this year. Would love to get down to the link, get back there, raise the natty one last ride, one last time.
Yeah.
How did that feel when you got your hands on the trophy? What was that experience?
It's indescribable. You know, especially the journey we went on with that group. You know, from Memorial Day 2021 till that day, it was just so rewarding to see the fruits of your labor. You know, to do it for the guys that came before you and set the foundation, it was really special. And, you know, doing it with obviously your brothers, your family, you know, their families, it was just an indescribable experience, you know, and it was probably, you know, it is the best day of my life.
Yeah, I mean, No reason it wouldn't be.
I can only dream. On that squad, last thing I'll ask, who's the glue guy? Like, who was the guy when everything was kind of, when you get to the dog days where, like you said, maybe it's February or, middle of the season, you're struggling to find that, like, motivation. Who was the guy who came in and was like, nah, like, I'm going to bring the juice. I'm going to keep everyone together.
I'll throw it too. Obviously, I talked about Roman Puglisi and Brett Makar. Obviously 2D guys like we talked about. Those guys, they're the voice. They break down the huddles. They do all that. They didn't let anyone fall behind in that regard of bringing it and having focus and bringing intensity every single day. They were the glue that kept. And we had a lot of big pieces, of player caliber, and they were able to keep it together and keep everyone at one goal and on one ship.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, within your career, everybody wants to talk about, obviously, the on-field what are those? Rewards, accomplishments that you got. All-Americans, Intel Lacrosse Magazine, Big Ten. But one thing I saw and I wanted to highlight was 2022 and 2023, you got all Big Ten academic team. Off the field, what was your day-to-day in college doing your schoolwork and then having to practice, making sure you're getting enough food in your body, working out?
So day-to-day, once COVID hit, after that changed a little bit because fifth years were all in grad programs. So we ended up going in the morning in the fall every day or whenever we had stuff. So it might be, usually it was 7 a.m. start, so or it was 6 a.m. So if you lift before practice, that was at 6. You go to practice, and the other group lifts after, or something along those lines. And then, for us, we just roll right into class. For the grad guys, it might have been a little earlier, a little bit later, depending on the schedules. But that was kind of a normal day. And then, hopefully we get 9 holes in at the Maryland Golf Course at the end of the day. But definitely that fall ball is some long days, starting pretty early. And, just trying to hit the reset for the next day and get some sleep.
Yeah. So for the listeners that might not know this, in college lacrosse or in college sports regardless, you have to have a certain GPA. Depending on your grade. So freshmen have the lowest, and then grad students have the highest, which I'm pretty sure is 3.0, might be a 3.2.
Something like that.
Yeah. So did you ever find it troubling to keep your grades up while playing a college sport through any of the years you played, or was it always something that you were able to balance going through your entire life playing sports?
For me, I feel like I was able to balance it. I'll be honest, like I wasn't in an engineering program or, something crazy like that. I was, history major, working in the education field. So I was able to balance it pretty well. And, we have a great support staff at school. And if you need tutors, you can get tutors. And, for the most part, I was able to balance it pretty well. Like I said, I helped myself out with what I ended up doing. But, I know some guys, especially when they hit the grad schools, it's a lot on their plate, and they got to sacrifice somewhere. Whether it's Saturday afternoon, they're studying a little bit before they see the guys or stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot on your plate for a college athlete, and I don't care what level you're at, you're putting a lot in to step on the field on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both communication majors, so I always kind of joke. I got the Atlantic Conference Nerd of the Year, which is like the highest GPA in the conference championship game. And I always kind of tell people, it's like, it's kind of a phony because like I have way too much fun in all my classes. Like sports comm is one of my focuses, and 2 semesters ago I took a class that was literally play-by-play sports announcing, and my final project was to watch Super Bowl 52 with the audio muted and commentate it, and I got a grade for that, and obviously got a fucking 100%, so piece. But like that's the type of stuff where my buddy goes to Swarthmore, super hard school. He's a bio pre-dental major. He tells me about like, I spent hours here. I'm always in the library. I'm like, I had an essay to do once, and like that was a lot of work. And it's just like, dude, shut up, like stop. You don't have any work.
I had to have 3 cited references.
Yeah. Have you ever sat in an editing bay for 6 hours to do a 6-minute video? Have you ever taken a final exam? Okay, dude, stop. I got you. Do you know what a lab is? Yes. Okay, stop.
So what I want to ask is, without COVID-19, do you think you go back for a 5th year? Do you think you'd stay in college and get your graduate degree? Or
I would.
You would have?
I loved it. I would definitely, 5 years was enough. I kind of wanted to end it. I was like, I'm really happy I got this year to be on a team again, to play sports another year. It was awesome. So I definitely think I would. And yeah, I think it was I'm really happy the opportunity was there for the NCAA to use it and get another year in.
Do you think there's any way you wouldn't have done it without lacrosse? Like if lacrosse wasn't an option and they didn't give you the 5th year to play, do you think you still would have gone back and just had a normal year of school?
Probably not. I probably would have came home, got back to Springfield as fast as possible and, continue my education locally, most likely.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
We won't have to worry about the 5th year thing. Thank God it ended with us, because it's so confusing seeing scouting a team and you're like, oh, who are they returning this year? And you just see Cross Ferrer, great example. Last year I thought he's 45 at this point.
We even made the chirp, and this annoys me. We played them our freshman year, and we're down there and we were chirping, and one of the chirps was your grade's the only grade that's going to graduate from Salisbury without a national championship ring. And he was a senior. They didn't win it, but they ended up winning last year when he was still on the team. So the chirp does not stand with him.
Yeah.
Which upsets me because I wish it did.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing about that's just D3 for you. Salisbury's been so dominant the last, I want to say 20 years. Every class has graduated with at least one national championship, which is a nuts thing you can say when you're recruiting a kid where it's like, hey, I almost guarantee you're going to leave here with a natty.
Yeah, Berkeley has 10.
Anyways, enough Salisbury talk. Yeah. It's a converting podcast.
But it is crazy with the ages of guys. I think I want to say, I know our first midline at Maryland in 22 was the average age was 24 years old. So I think that probably helps when you're playing 18-year-olds, Yeah. And, across the board, it was just a pretty old group of guys. And you could see on how guys played that they've seen a lot of games on Saturday afternoons,
Yeah.
It's that experience. It makes a big difference. We had our 5th year defender, senior captain, came back, and it's you understand not only the system, not only the pace of play, but you have that extra advantage of if you are guarding a freshman or a sophomore, you know how to alpha him. You know how to kind of get under his skin. You have that experience. You've gone through it so much that you can push it back just that much more.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. So I think that's all the college and career talk we have.
I think so. Yeah.
Correct. So I think it's a good time for us to hop into our moment of the week.
Before that, I want to ask your PLL draft story. You got drafted into the PLL.
Totally.
What's that like? Because I love seeing that they have the cameras on the ESPN stream, just people in their college house, and you just kind of do you just get a random phone call and they're like, yo, this is Mike Pressler, this is Paul Rabel, you're gonna be in the league?
Yeah, so it's obviously they always have the NFL draft. It's you're talking to this team, you're talking to that team. I didn't talk to anybody. So you just turn it on and see what happens. I had a couple people that I had played with or knew from Philly that were kind of asking me, what are your plans? Are you going to try and play? And I was like, yeah, I definitely would. And the opportunity is there. And so you have a little, maybe this team might like you, this team might not, and you just kind of sit there and wait. Luckily my name was called and I got the opportunity to experience that. And not a lot of people do, which is pretty special. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. You just kind of, obviously you have the big names that you knew were going to go in the top first round, but for me, I was just kind of sitting there, with a couple of my buddies and just watching the show you guys were or anybody else.
We joke about it. It'd be awesome because a couple the last 2 years of D3 guys gone, Max Wayne 2 years ago, Cross got picked this past year. We joke with some guys where it's you're just gonna be sitting there making dinner, and then you're gonna see your phone ring and you're gonna be on ESPN. It's gonna happen so fast. One day, who knows? Maybe there'll be a 14-5 number.
Yeah.
But training camp. So you were able to go up to Albany for that. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. I was blessed to be with some pretty awesome guys at training camp. People you see just on camera. Whether it was Trevor Baptiste or Eric Law, Chris Gray, just really awesome guys. And it's cool to see the other side of them you don't see when you're just watching a game on Saturday or Sunday. And I couldn't be more thankful. They were just awesome dudes and fun to be around. And in my experience when I was up there,
with those scrimmages that they ran, was that kind of from college to the pro, what was the biggest difference that you saw? Not even just skill and speed wise, but transition from fresh off a college game to the new pro game, especially with the new rules that they added. What was that difference?
Yeah, the new face-off rule is crazy. I don't even think watching you understand how fast that is. When you step on the field to when that timer's going to hit 0. That was obviously the biggest change. That from a structural standpoint of the game, but. just the windows. Whether I was up there with Brett, and he's like, man, I just gave that guy just a half inch too much of a window, and he caught it and scored. And that's the skill across the board is just unbelievable. And there's guys that there's a reason why they've been playing for 12 more years after college. They're pretty good at this game.
Was there anybody who had the best rookie chirp? Because I love seeing like the mic'd up clips or like the highlights that they'll post, and they'll be getting on a guy who just got traded, or like I said, a rookie. Did anyone kind of say something you were like, ooh, respect, that was a good one?
Not really, honestly. Like it all happens so fast up there. Like you show up and you're practicing, you're scrimmaging, and then all of a sudden like there's cuts, and then whoever's left is going to play the first game. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic on a team. Everyone's trying to compete for spots, but you're also like, oh, we're teammates, and it all just happens fast.
One of these days we'll make it to the PLO. Maybe I'll be in the broadcast booth. That'd be pretty dope.
Hey, that'd be sick.
That's the dream.
Yeah, all right.
Moment of the week?
Moment of the week.
I think it might be time.
I think it's time.
Do you want to kick us off?
I'll kick us off. The Cabrini boys had their weightlifting test this week. All the fellows were hyped up. I would honestly say this entire week was my moment of the week.
It was. Yeah, the energy was just through the roof, especially on Wednesday. We had a team meeting, and that's when we were doing our 1 rep max bench. I was in the morning session, so got it done at like 11 o'clock. Come back for a meeting at 2. Great meeting. It was a player-led meeting, really. Like, our coach was there, but he wanted us to talk, and we kind of just established like how we wanted to run this year, like values-wise. What's going to be our identity? Very productive, awesome. And then I think this was your group, right, that went in right after the meeting.
Yeah, and I mean, I think without that meeting, everybody gets 10 less pounds. That meeting was awesome. Yeah. I mean, it ran long. That's how you know it's a good meeting most of the time, especially when it's player-led and it's like, all right, hey, we're 20 minutes past the time that we said we were going to be done, and we also have to be lifting. It was super productive. Hopped in the weight room immediately after. Everybody was juiced up. I don't think Bear Evans had the smelling salts, but if he did, it would have been just that much better. It was great. And then Friday we did our squat.
Yup, the smelling salts were very high.
They definitely were there. And then this week coming up, we have our run test, and we have a dead hang. Look forward to that.
That's going to be interesting. Just hanging on a bar for as long as you can. 6 guys will go at a time, and it's going to be one of those where it's like, I'm not dropping first. So
chalk your hands and close your eyes.
As he was telling me, the life hack is you got to grip your thumb.
Yes,
like
you have to.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my move.
That's a Matty Reese special right there.
Really?
Hey, Matt Reese?
Proud alumni at Cabrini University.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Grip the thumbs.
Right around it.
Around the bar. I'm going to test this out tomorrow.
I'll keep that in mind.
I'm going to figure something out.
We're probably doing the dead hang tomorrow.
Probably. Honorable mention for that moment, Max Morsoff. Pound for pound strongest kid on our team. He's maybe, 5?
He's 5'8", I'd say 155.
Soaking wet. Like, if you looked at him, you'd be like, okay, maybe you could bench a plate. Buddy put up 2 plates for bench.
I think he posted 245 on bench and then 320 on squat.
Absurd. I walked in because I wasn't in the bench lifting session. Me and a couple guys heard the screaming from upstairs. And we're like, oh, we got to go in. Like, this is sick. Go in. He's hopping under the bar, lifts it up, benches it like it's nothing. Like, literally 2 plates, which was my max was 230, and he's just doing it like it's nothing. I'm like, damn, I feel like a bitch. Like, I'm a scrawny piece of shit now. Damn, come on, Morsoff. So shout out Max Morsoff. He's an absolute
second throws weight.
Yeah, gritty. My moment of the week is going to go to we had a captain's practice on Thursday, and it was an awesome practice. Probably one of the best that we've had in college so far.
Probably ever.
The vibe was crazy because obviously it being the last year and everything, we're short numbers, so everyone's getting a ton of reps. We're all gassed, but it was so productive. I think that practice we may have gotten better than a lot of the practices that we had last year. But where this comes in is at the end, We're breaking down. We all had to do a little bit of running because we had something happen earlier on in the week. Come in, and our captain PJ, the juice guy, he's giving us a nice little speech. Boom, it's only the beginning, blah blah blah. And then Waldo, our buddy that we've been talking about, shout out Hunter Waldron, comes out and he's like, "Yo, I got a quote." That was one thing we talked about in our meeting where it's like we want a juice guy of the week who's gonna have to read a quote before practice. And he's like, "Guys, I got one." So it goes up, and it's from his favorite movie, same from like the kid squirrel in the movie. I don't know. He texted it. He texted it to me. Such a Waldo movie. But he goes up and says the best part of anything is the moment before it starts. And he said that, and it just like completely summed up everything that had happened that day, that week, that year, everything. It was so perfect, and it came out of an unexplainable source because like Waldo is not the guy who's going to read you Moby Dick and like give you a good quote. And so that like hit me in the face, and I'm like, Waldo, that was all I told him afterwards. I'm like, that fired me up. Like we finished practice and I was ready to run through a brick wall. Simple stuff. So shout out Hunter Waldron.
I remember I almost broke out laughing when he was like, "It's from a guy named Squirrel." I was just like, "Oh, I can't wait to hear this quote."
And it was actually awesome.
It was a great quote. Yeah.
Shout out. Good job, Waldo. Kyle, what's your moment of the week? It's going to be funny, angry. What do you got?
Yeah, my moment of the week. I'll just take Friday night. I'm coaching high school football. We won on Friday, big win over Conestoga, getting back in the win column. So enjoying that. I'm up top in the booth with Coach Lennox, obviously, Interborough legend, and Coach D-Rock, who also coaches Interborough. Yeah. So, I feed him their rice pudding and take care of him up top with AARP up in the booth.
Wow, that's horrible. Yeah.
Is it time for? So we told you about the draft earlier. What's our timing looking like? Awesome. That's good to hear. We told you about the draft earlier, so you could pick a topic, and then we just kind of go. You get your 5 picks. We see who's got the best one. So do you have anything off the top of your head for what we could possibly draft here?
I don't. Ellis, you got anything?
Sweet college quarterbacks.
Ooh, college QBs, like all-time college QBs.
Sweet cool. Doesn't think the best college quarterback, but like the coolest college quarterback.
I got you. Yeah, there's some directions that I
The
can go.
coolest college quarterback.
All time. You can go deep here. Yeah, this is where
All time, so I can name any quarterback
any
ever.
quarterback of all time.
Sure.
I like the hack here. Just make sure you write down your picks because we'll do a recap at the end. And for the first, maybe 2 months, we didn't write anything down. And so we'd just be sitting there like, who's my third
Last
pick?
episode.
Yeah, last episode. Listen, I'm forgetting something. And we're just like going back and forth for 5 minutes and finally remember. So
Using our phones as cameras.
yeah, we're trying to
It looked good though.
speed things up a little bit. It did.
All right,
Everything
so
was
sweetest
today.
college quarterbacks. Number one's easy.
Whoa.
Number one's easy.
Yeah. And so obviously our guest is going to be the number 1 pick. So you're going to lead us off, and then we're going to rock, paper, scissors for who gets to go 2 and 3. So number 1 pick, sweetest quarterback of all time in college. What do you got?
I will take Joe Burrow. Joe Cool.
It's a good one.
Joe Burrow with the EAUX. I think that's still one of the coldest videos of all time. Him walking out on senior day with that, and then obviously, hitting the cigar after the Natty game. Just Joe Steezy, Joe Cool, Joe Burrow.
Alrighty. Rock, paper, scissors.
Here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Always go paper first. I'm reading it, dude. 1-0.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Boom, 1-1. Here we go. Lock in. I'm going scissors.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I can't lie. What am I going to do? I'm on a 2-game losing streak now, so I got to dial in.
With Joe Burrow being taken first, I will select Johnny Manziel out of the University of Texas A&M.
Johnny Football. We talked about the Johnny Football documentary that dropped on Netflix. Were you able to watch that?
I did.
Unreal.
Awesome.
Crazy. I think about that too as like a college athlete right now where like he's doing that shit at a major D1 university and like killing it on Saturday, and he's going out Friday night until like 5 in the morning. Like stuff's absurd. And the story about him at like the draft combine where he was clean for 2.5, 3 months, shows up, goes out, messes up big time, and then he had his dad fake like a heart surgery or something so he could get out of the interviews. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating human being. Great pick. I'm going to go with another Netflix documentary reference here because there's no better quarterback, especially if you watch this thing, you know just how fired up you get. Tim Tebow, baby. Florida Gators. That Gator documentary, we're saying that we want to watch that before the first practice of the year because you go through all 4 episodes and we're like,
oh my gosh, I'm literally dialed in right now. Like, I want to go kill somebody. Their weight room energy is pretty awesome. Team Tebow, it's going to be my first one.
Yeah, I guess are we sneaking this?
Nah, no,
Back to
I will take Michael Vick. Damn. That guy on the football field in college. Unbelievable. Get up and down.
For my second pick, because we were doing the coolest, sweetest?
Sweetest, coolest, most dope, whatever word you want to do.
Okay, we're going to go with Baker Mayfield.
Oh, took him right from under me.
The man had swag.
We were talking about this the other day. Like, I want him to succeed so much in the NFL. I'm rooting for him a lot. And because I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's good. He's just kind of in an unlucky situation a lot of the time. So hopefully he's got a fresh start here in Tampa. Tom Brady Jr. Best of luck, babe. Maybe we'll have him on the pod one day.
They're up 2017 right now.
They are.
It's playing pretty well.
Such a good year.
Good pick.
I'm going to take another kind of juice guy who was good in the NFL for a couple years. Has fallen off recently. I think he's out of the league right now. But Cam Newton at all. Hard to get past that. I mean, that national championship year. And he was on that Florida team. Like, just great guy and electric player to watch. And that Mike Vick style, just how unpredictable it was.
All right, I will go Marcus Mariota.
Oregon.
Decked out in all the Oregon Nike gear.
Yup.
Come on.
Oh, I remember the Mariota days, especially because, like, the University of Washington, they hate Oregon. Like, my dad told me I wanted to go to Oregon for a while just because I kind of like the colors and, like, it's a cool school, cool area. My dad told me that if I ever went there, he would never wear an Oregon Duck shirt in his life. Like, my sister went to Washington State, which is our cross-state rival, and even he was like, okay, I'll wear a Wazoo dad, but he told me, he's like, I will not put Oregon Ducks gear on. Absolutely not, drawing the line. But yeah, Marcus Mariota is a great pick.
He's a good pick. I was never sold on this guy, but when we talk about the sweetest, the dopest, the coolest, I think he fits the mold. I'm going to go with Jameis Winston.
Ooh, yup.
Good pick.
That all-time story of him getting suspended for a game, coming out in his pads, and getting bitched out by his coach. Iconic stuff.
That's a W.
Yeah, that's a W. That national championship team from Florida State too. I mean, we got some winners. And speaking of winners, I'm gonna go instead of national championship, a guy who has a couple Super Bowls. And I know it's kind of a bitter topic now, but you got to go Patrick Mahomes. He was pretty electrifying there in college at Texas Tech. That game with him and Baker Mayfield going at it, like, I don't know if it gets much better than that. So I'm gonna add him to the roster.
I like it.
I will go with Lamar Jackson.
It's a good pick.
I think it's crazy that he got so underrated after winning the Heisman. Like, his senior year, he kind of fell off the map, and everyone forgot that he was the most electrifying quarterback in college football a year ago. Gets stolen by the Ravens in the first round at the end. It's like, we all forgot about him, and then he reminded us, like, yeah, I'm a stud. Like, I'm going to go win MVP real quick. Like, hold my beer. So I like that. So that's pick number 4 that we got here, 4th round. What do you got, Nicholas?
For my 4th round pick, I'm going to go to somebody that I wouldn't say, I don't want to talk negative, but I don't think he's proved himself necessarily in the league yet. But he's still young, and he had probably the greatest college career ever. That's Trevor Lawrence.
Ooh, T-Law. I remember watching him in the Elite 11 when I first got put on to him. And then comes into Clemson, wins the Natty over there. It was Alabama. He beat it his first year, I
believe so.
Just kind of took the show away and proved the country that he's the man. He was the consensus number 1 pick, and he's doing great things in He's made Jacksonville a quality football team right now, which I never thought that I would be saying Jacksonville and quality in the same sentence talking about football.
Yeah.
Like, somebody, I saw a take earlier this week that they have them in the AFC Championship. And I can't wrap my head around that. Even the year that they made the AFC Championship, I'm like, no. Like, that's the simulation has a glitch right now. Jacksonville, led by Blake Bortles, is in the AFC Championship against Tom Brady. And they're winning. Like, they were winning for a bit before everything went downhill. But, Trevor Lawrence, dog. I'm going to head in the direction of another dog. We've kind of been having a theme of mobile quarterbacks and people who really just lit up the show and kind of fumbled in the NFL, but it wasn't his fault. I'm taking Robert Griffin III. Those Baylor days, that Heisman season, man, it's a good fun stuff to watch. The Redskins, or the Commanders, I should say. If they didn't screw up his career, I think he could have been a Hall of Famer. And he's a great broadcaster, too.
He is a very good broadcaster.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
Game respect game. All right, final pick. Wrapping up. What do we got?
Yeah, so on this first Sunday of Eagles season, got to go Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts at Bama or Oklahoma?
2-1.
He's taking.
2-1. Both of them. Can eat it.
I'm gonna take Kyler Murray. He was very fun to watch in college.
He was, and it's fun to watch in the NFL, especially when they make the meme of him just being like super small. We were talking about this last episode actually. It popped up because I did like the Mario music in my head whenever he's scrambling. Like he's like at the background. That's the only way that I see it. My last pick, I'm going to stay with the 2012 draft for a second. And instead of the number 2 guy with RG3 already on there, I'm going to take his partner in crime. Career cut short, but Andrew Luck at Stanford was a beast. And he was a beast in the NFL. I mean, again, made Indianapolis. If they didn't screw up his career, he could still be balling out right now. And they really do need a little bit of help at quarterback. Although, I think Anthony Richardson is going to do actually, I was telling this to Nick earlier. I think Anthony Richardson is going to have a Baker Mayfield style career. Solid rookie year, fall off in the second year. Third year, come out and make a big statement, and then just fall off a cliff. So there's my hot take. Hopefully I'm not that wrong. And I'd love to be right. My take on Colorado jumping into the top 25 last week, that one came true. So hopefully I can go 2 for 2 here. But realistically,
Give me Deion Sun for an honorable mention. That man is sweet.
the one play that didn't count yesterday, scrambled outside of the pocket, broke off 3 tackles, stiff-armed a guy, threw the ball into the end zone for the touchdown. If it didn't get called back, that would have been played here.
That's a Johnny football-esque football play.
Absolutely. I think he's already in the Heisman conversation, too.
It has to be.
Great. They got a big test. They play Oregon up this weekend, I think. So Bo Nix against Shedeur Sanders. And then the week after that, they play USC. So we're going to see Coach Brown. Is he legit or is he just taking down scrubs? Who knows?
Guess we'll find out. All right, so let's review our list, Kyle.
I've got Joe Burrow, Michael Vick, Marcus Mariota, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts.
That's a solid squad.
That's a good list. I got Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston, Trevor Lawrence, and Kyler Murray.
We should just do a Madden sim of all these guys in the league, and whoever's combined quarterback has the most passing yards, that's who's going to win the draft.
I like that.
I took Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, Patrick Mahomes the third or the second, Robert Griffin the third, and Andrew Luck. So I got a nice little variety, kind of some pro-style quarterbacks, a little bit more obviously the scramblers, the big arms. Honorable mention time: Gardner Minshew at Washington State. Gardner Minshew was electric to watch, and that Mike Leach offense, literally just air raid, throw the ball as far as you can. That was a fun team to watch.
Trace McSorley for an honorable mention.
He got the start, or he was playing for the Patriots in the preseason, and I love whenever he trots onto the field.
Trace McSorley.
Throwing it down every single time. I wish that he had a stronger career in the NFL, but he's doing his practice squad stuff.
Still making bread.
Yeah. Any other honorable mentions that we got? Electric college quarterbacks.
Sam Bradford
at Oklahoma. I'm trying to. I thought I had one on the tip of my tongue. Stetson Bennett. Duh. Yeah. The old man. I mean, he was 27 when he graduated. He's older than some guys on his NFL team.
He was
right now.
He was I'm pretty sure a true senior in high school. I know Lamar Jackson had 3,000 rushing yards in the NFL.
Another guy, JT Daniels. I saw the stat that he's at his 7th school or something like that. God. He's at Rice right now. He was at Georgia, USC. Then he went to West Virginia. And now somehow he still has eligibility. He's playing at Rice.
Yeah, I think he's in school every single year.
Yeah, what did you
Yeah, I think he's 5 for 5 right now.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's a loyalty problem.
We know somebody that's every semester has gone to a new school.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty impressive.
That is. That happens when
just moving your stuff every 6 months.
And it's making new friends, having to figure out a new town, new classes, professors. You're literally walking into an unknown room every single time.
Every time. Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
I think that
read until I die.
I believe that would conclude.
I think, that's going to do it for the draft. And I mean, this has been an awesome conversation.
It really has.
Seriously,
great.
We can't thank you enough for coming out here. This has been awesome. Do you have any final thoughts or shout-outs that you want to make here? Well, you have the platform. Floor is all yours.
Obviously, got to shout out Coach Ellis over there in the corner, setting this up with Coach Armando, putting it all together today. But thank you guys. It's been awesome. Obviously, I've seen some of your stuff on social media, but it's cool to get in the room, get in the living room and talk some shop and put it together. together. It's been great.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Yeah, this is going to be our new living room. So I'm going to call that corner right over there. That's where I'm going to put my chair.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you've ever watched an episode, made it to the end of an episode. One of the things that we do every single episode is shout out our favorite rapper. He is up and coming, top 100 in the world.
Yeah. One of our favorite SoundCloud guy. And he's one of our glue guys.
Yeah.
It's
an
pretty good.
amazing teammate. Has dedicated a lot of time to the art of rapping. So with that being said, shout out Jules.
Yeah, so we all got to give him a shout out. Shout out Jules.
Shout out Jules.
Hell yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Hey, yo, water boy. Yeah, I'll be stargazing. I'll be up in the clouds, but I won't come down cause I'll be too faded. Everybody wanna walk that talk, wanna talk that talk like we made it. But they all gon' cap, swear to God I'll make the money right back. Bitches be trippin', don't know how to act. You just be singing, don't know how to rap. I really be running this shit like I'm Owen. She like a wave, I'm loving her motion. It's like I'm sipping straight up on the potion. Water be dripping and feel like the ocean. I know that I'm different cause I'm from the other side. She's saying that she want me, girl, that's capping, girl, you lying. Everything I ever did, all I do is right. You could never say it cause you switched up and you lie. Yeah. Had to switch up and you lie. Yeah, I'll be stargazing. I'll be up in the clouds, but I won't come down cause I'll be too faded. Everybody wanna walk that talk, wanna talk that talk like we made it. But they all gon' cap, swear to God I'll make the money right back. Bitches be trippin', don't know how to act.